Hey everyone, welcome back to another 31-minute podcast. Morning, Jordan.
Good morning.
So, you're right, Jack? Yes. Jack's like knocking the lights over. So a couple of things to talk about today. Let's get straight into this thing.
Straight into it.
We were just talking about, you were just getting, talking about numbers. And we're so different with numbers. It's like, you're all about the people and following, whoever's, that you and Jack were talking about. I think we're down to like 500,000 listens or something, or downloads or whatever it's called.
Yeah, 500,000.
Yeah,
half a million.
Half a million sounds better. Isn't it? And I'm like, I couldn't care less. I just like, because whether it's one or whether it's a million, doesn't really matter. Like, I know it's reach, but I think it just comes over time anyway. Like it look, we vary different a lot on this, but whether because I remember doing videos to no one when I started, but I still was keen to do them. Like, I was just doing them. I didn't understand why. And remember I was telling you about, I think we did it on a podcast when I used to text my mates in a group on the old Nokia phone in the mornings at 4:00, and my mates were like, why are you texting me? And I'd be like texting motivational statements, but I was just doing it because I was like sharing energy. Same as these podcasts. I wouldn't have a clue how many people listen.
Yeah.
Apart from when Jackson says it, but it still doesn't curb my enthusiasm to just do it, because I feel like that's just a path of what I should be doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do it for the outcome. I do it because it's like coming from inside out, not for that external recognition. So are you any better if you've got 1.8 million followers or you've got 8,000? Like, what's the difference?
It's got a bigger reach.
Yeah, bigger reach, but why? Well, it shouldn't really change your keenness.
See, I only look at it because I'm like, it interests me which topics hit the most, because I'm like, it's interesting.
Here's something that's funnier.
Yeah.
The more money you get, the less hungry you get. Yeah?
I can agree with that.
I reckon I still am really hungry. But when you have none, you are that hungry it's not funny. Like, it's almost like it's like you're just so driven to get
survival
somewhere.
mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not in an anxious way. I mean, just keen to build something. I love building stuff. It's the building that's the funnest. And when you when you're number one at something, it's like it's different. It's not like when you're number two trying to be number one. When you're number two trying to be number one, it's like your heat-seeking missile. You got all this energy force with you. You're up every day, like driving for this thing. But when you sort of lose that target, it's all right. It just feels different. It's the same, I reckon. I remember Brock said when he was around, we had 3,000 followers on Instagram. He goes, well, what if no one follows or something? Or I just think it's so far away what you want to achieve. And I'm like, who cares? Just do it as though you have 1 million followers or whatever. It shouldn't change much.
I think that's the way that you build it best.
You do, because you're not building it for the outcome. You're building it because it's the right thing to do, and it's different. It's like now, like, I've got really nothing to prove in real estate, but I still push myself inside because it's like a sport to me. Like, Tiger Woods, he's a billionaire. He doesn't need to hit a golf ball around, but why does he do it?
Because he loves it.
He loves it. Surgery, operation, back operations, and he's had a car crash.
His comeback story was the best video in the whole world. Yeah. He was exactly the same. He didn't have anything to prove in golf, but everybody was like, he's washed up.
Yeah.
Like, we'll never see the old Tiger Woods. I don't know if you follow it, but he had a couple of times where he did shots and hurt his back and things like that, and he'd come back and won.
Yeah. So you shouldn't be motivated by, or get good once you get 1 million listeners or whatever it is. Like, I couldn't care less. Like, really, I like that it's actually going somewhere. That's good. But it doesn't change I don't come here going, I'm going to get 10 new listeners today or anything like that. I'm just like, let's do something cool.
Yeah. Let's make sure the content's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk about focus, and I want to talk about lockdown. So there's I think I was going to talk about lockdown. Let's talk about lockdown mode first.
Yep.
Yeah, because I reckon this is the key to achieving anything you want to achieve, whether it's in business or
we're talking
whatever.
about it yesterday.
Yeah, we were talking about it yesterday because I think a lot of people don't realise, even with my own real estate career, what I actually did to get there. And it was like I locked myself down for 5 years. I did nothing else. And well, actually a lot longer than that. But I'm talking about 5 years, go nowhere, do nothing, apart from prospect, practice, like role play, learn, and apply myself in real estate to get massive traction. And I think a lot of you young people, you don't understand that. Like it's like I didn't have any other clothes but work clothes. So I didn't go nowhere. And I just worked around the clock for 5 years minimum and I just call it lockdown mode to beat the competition. It might seem like a bit extreme, but when you do that and you make all of these sacrifices elsewhere, your focus and it's like a laser beam. You know how like a laser.
Did it take 5 years to build traction?
Yeah,
or did it take
3.
less?
No, about 3, but I got to a point that I was like, I could see.
Was that how many years into your career was that?
About 2.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. And then I could see like there's heaps of agents. There's really good ones. There's really bad ones. There's some that have been around for ages. Like there's all this. Like I was like, oh, how do I become a standout? And then I was like, well, if I just really outrun them, like they won't keep up because they're going to be asleep and I'll be working. And then if I had to get letters out, I did everything myself, like with a bit of help, like Jamie helped me.
How many hours do you reckon you worked in a week?
So I'd work till midnight.
From what time? So what time?
4:30.
Wake up at 4.
I had Jackson. So I was like...
Wake up at 4:30?
No, wake up at 4.
Wake up at 4?
Yeah. So I'd go to bed at midnight. So I'd wake up at 4. Sometimes I'd type the RP data names from 4 to 5, but depends on which part of the career. Let's say, I could mail merge. So let's...
Just on average, what you can think.
So wake up at 4, letterbox drop till about 6:30. And then I'd go around, I'd look at all the real estate offices' windows to see what else is new come up, things like that. And then I'd get to work, I'd write, can't remember what I did back then, maybe not thank you cards then, but I'd be like preparing whatever for the day. So to-do lists, role playing. Then I'd be, I used to didn't have databases then, so I'd have clip binders, and I'd be writing all the contacts that I'd seen that day, and I'd be clipping them in to like market opinion binders and then things. And then, so then I'd work in the day, but I would prospect from say 9. Sometimes I'd prospect too early, like 8 o'clock, and then people would be filthy. People were like, why are you here so early? Like, because I'd be like, just seeing if you want to sell your house. And they're like, what are you doing here? Like in the dressing gown and things. And like, I'd continue, and then I'd, depends which part, but if I had no appointments, I would just literally door knock all day, and then I'd cold call in the afternoon for at least 2 hours. And then I would print all the letters out for the next day, and then I would fold them all night till midnight and go to bed again. And I did that for years. Yeah. And I just remember sitting at the dining room table that tired, just folding letters, putting them in order, ready to drop the next day. And
Isn't it funny that you went from like such a sketchy, crazy, everywhere person to like flicking through binders? Like, oh, that's my MO from yesterday. Like, so organised. Did you have to teach yourself that?
It was good though, because I used to send a letter out every 4 weeks to the market opinion binder. So I'd have to type all the names in.
Did you just work this? I know you would have. I don't think there would have been any. I don't think there's anybody doing that now, let alone back then. Yeah. Did you just like develop it yourself?
Yeah. So I used to watch this video of the top 10 McGrath people. Got my hands on it somehow, and I used to watch it over and over and over again, like just literally every morning for at least maybe half an hour, 20 minutes. And I just used to watch it over. Shad, Gillian McGrath, James Dack, Matt LaHood, all of them. And I used to just listen to what they said, and I just like because they'd be like talking about how they did business. And I wish I had them video now, and I just listen. And if they say one thing, I just go, I'll do that. And then I went and saw this guy because I was working at Star Partners then, and I went and saw a guy called Tony, I think it was Tony Starr. And then he told me about how he door knocked. So he door knocked every day. He was the number one person in the whole company. And then I just like, as soon as I'd find someone that did something, I'd like try and find an idea. I was just a great executor. Like I'd just put it in and I'd just do it. And I just keep doing it, no question. And that's why when you're always crying about your time and you have no time, I would just literally make the time. Because Jackson would be a terrible sleeper. I'd be up a couple of times a night, hitting his bum, putting him in, just like that tired. I can't even begin to tell you. But
I don't know how you continued doing it like without dying.
Yeah.
Or I don't know how hard we work now, but that sounds like double what we work now. Yeah. Almost.
I was really determined. Like I was really, but in amongst that, I had to do community service as well. Like, because it was just really difficult.
So if you had nothing again now, would you just do the same thing?
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I could annihilate you with no technology. I do. I reckon if I was up against you, that's why I laugh a little bit because I know other agents, like if they have coaches and things, they go, oh yeah, don't worry, just go in Wombrel or going up against Matt and Jordan. Don't worry, Matt will be retired soon. And I know that's what they say. And I'm like, no, mate, I'm going to just keep going. You can never keep up with me. Yeah. So I was like, the lockdown mode for me is really where it all happens.
It's probably the same for most businesses. It's probably the same for anything you want to achieve, right?
Anything. Yeah, like it's the same as with wealth. Like
it would have taken me 5 years to turn my wealth around.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that's been 5 years?
Yeah.
Since I had nothing.
So you made all those decisions, like got rid of your car. Remember when you used to pull up in your Audi TT with your aviators, looking like Tom Cruise, and you'd be like, and you look great, but then we get talking, a couple of photos, and we get talking, and then you'd be like, oh mate, I just like got no money, and my car, like it's costing me so much money, and your loan was so out of whack. Like you owed what did you owe on the car? Talk us through it.
It's the dumbest thing ever. I was straight out of uni. I was like, yeah, I'm going to earn stacks of money. If I was earning $10, I was spending 14. I think the loan was like 50,000, wasn't it? And I sold the car for like 7.
Yeah, the car was worth.
It was worth nothing. I almost
like 15
gave it away
or something, but your loan was about 40 or 50 or something, and you just had no money. Like you were totally stuck.
I was in that house in Blue Bay, remember the big one across the road from the beach?
Yeah.
I think the rent there at the time was like $1,200 a week.
Yeah. Yeah, and what happened? I said get rid of the car.
Yeah.
What happened? I can't remember how it all came about, but
you were like,
was that before you were going to go to Sydney?
Yeah, I was like just about to run away from my life.
Yeah, you were going to leave, and you were working with your mum, were you, or Chris? I can't remember.
Mum, I think. At the time.
I think you're working with your mum, who's a great agent in our company.
Yeah,
and then I heard you were going to leave, and I didn't really know you super well, sort of. And then I think I grabbed you in the kitchen and said, where are you going to go? And you're like, oh, I'm going to go to Sydney. And I was like, why? And
that was the biggest sliding door. Imagine if I went to Sydney.
I know.
I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
I hate Sydney. Like I like it down there, but what a waste that would have been. You know what? I would have spent 5 years down there and I would have come back and I would have had to start again.
Yeah, you would have. And then
that was literally a sliding door moment for me.
Yeah,
my whole life could be completely different right now.
Yeah.
I said, I'm just going to go and find the best agent down there and just work with them.
Yeah.
You're like,
and I was like,
you're looking right
here. I was like, what are you doing? Yeah. And then to your credit, you stayed.
I did.
But then I think I said to you, just get rid of the car.
You gave me the business car.
Yeah, and I gave you the car that we had.
Which changed my life.
Yeah.
And I drove it around, remember, for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I moved out of that house. I moved back with Cookie. She was a bit unwell at the time too. And then I just worked and just slowly chipped away at it.
Yeah. And then you just turned your whole wealth position around. Like you went from nothing, and now you've got, 3 properties?
4, yeah.
4?
Yeah.
And then you got 4 properties, you got plenty of money, great career, terrible selection of shoes. That's the only thing I'm like, Jordan, stop buying those shoes.
I love shoes.
It's just in you, isn't it?
I love
wasting
accessories.
That money.
Shoes and accessories, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. But you went into the lockdown mode. So I think why I'm talking about this is I think sometimes people look at, that's what I said to you guys as well yesterday, like you can't look at someone's end part down here when, you know, you and Charlie, that's why I get so friggin' annoyed when you don't prospect. And like even this morning, you know, the first thing I woke up, I was like, is Jordan and Charlie prospecting today? Because I know the power of it. It's like no one can keep up with you when you're just literally forging your way forward in the invisible, getting ahead, like just paying the price up front to get ahead later.
Yeah.
And it's just, once you guys learn that, you'll be unstoppable. But it's that power of focus. There's a great book called Focus that I read years ago, and it was about companies that if they focus on one thing, and that's their thing, and they stay focused on that, they usually become a great success. But when they become successful and then they start focusing on other things as well, they almost lose their position and aren't as successful, and it's harder to manage. And I think things are like that. I think that ability to have no distractions or get rid of the distractions, like too many things going on at once. It's like our company. We don't do commercial and we don't do holiday rentals because we just not good at them, or we're not experts in them.
Yeah.
And we just do residential sales and residential leasing, and that's all we do.
Yeah.
And I know there's companies that are very successful, do a lot of other things, but it's incredibly hard to give your attention to a whole lot of stuff. So I think, like, we want to achieve.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, go. I saw that little smirk.
I'm like thinking about my life, like going, I get up at 4:30 every morning, train, normally doing emails and stuff at that time. And what time would we work till? 8 or 9 o'clock. And I think that I work hard, but like I think you're probably looking at me going, that guy's does nothing compared to me. But if you were me right now, like, so Sundays we don't work, right? And I took Cookie to lunch last weekend, played golf with my brothers. I did an MO in the morning, but like what else would you do if you were me?
Listen to me.
Yeah, but like would you?
But you don't listen.
Is it even possible for me to work harder?
You don't listen. You don't listen. That's the whole thing. You just don't listen.
Because I think, like, I feel like I'm in lockdown, but I reckon you're looking.
Jordan, your version of lockdown is like a holiday.
But I don't know what else. I don't know what else I could possibly give up to. Like, I could stop training.
A million
but
things.
Then, because you said the other day, I wouldn't.
Your time management skills is like worse than terrible. It's like, it is. Your time management is. So let me tell you a quick story about the number one Star Partners office back then. I watched all these things.
Yeah.
The number one Star Partners office back then, I don't know how many are left, but it was a good company years and years ago. It was like in Liverpool or something, and they had about 30 salespeople. The owner took all the desks out and just had 2 hot desks. And he said, every time you're in the office, you're not making money, you're going backwards. That was what he said. It was the number one office because in his opinion, you need to be out in front of people all day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is something to that because it's the dollar productive time. You'd be shocked if you had a 2-week calendar and every day you wrote down what dollar productive tasks you actually did. You would be shocked. I'm talking real estate. I don't know other companies, but in real estate, because you're only making money when you're actually with someone, like in front of someone, or prospecting.
I might actually write down a week of what I do.
You should. I've done it many times.
Yeah, I probably need to.
I'm acutely aware of what's moving myself forward, but keeping it very simple as well. So that's why, you've got to say no to a lot of things when you're learning, you're growing, you're developing, you're understanding how you want your business. I just think you got a bit of an inflated view of what you should be doing. Like, it's the grinding away of all the stuff that's mind-numbingly boring is actually what's going to make you successful. So,
see, my thing with you is you're like, don't worry about because my background's tech. I like to see if tech can help solve some of the problems or potentially make things move faster. And you're like, no,
because you hide behind it. You're like, I'll just spend $1,000 on my Facebook strategy campaign and I'll feel better. That's great. Do that as well. But get out there and so what I was saying before is Tony.
What did the star partner say about door knocking? Just quickly.
He used to put every day. So this is a guy who was number one, who was 50. He's probably my age back then. He used to put 30 cards in his pocket and go out and door knock and not come back till the 30 cards have been handed to somebody. That was his whole philosophy. Every day. Every day. So there's something about the effort that you make to knock on the door and say, hey, I'm Jordan, I'm from McGrath, I'm just in your street, just seeing if you had any thoughts of selling, or, or I saw you 3 months ago, gee, your garden's going good. Just anything change your end? Probably not, but just thought I'd ask you anyway. It's actually that's probably the most powerful thing you can do. So if I had to go to Melbourne and start again, I would knock on James Tostervan's door and I'd say, Jimmy, can I work with you? I'll work for free, whatever it's going to take, just to be a part of your team. Let me contribute first and then see if you're happy with that. I know you probably don't have any space, but I just want to be a part of what you're doing. And then I would just go and door knock every day. And I'd be like, I'd actually find it really enjoyable. There's something about it. Like I'd want to make my mark on the real estate world down there really quickly. And it's door knock all day, not so much looking for leads, but more, they'll come, but more just making the effort to be.
I like what you said yesterday. You liked having a helicopter view of the suburb.
Yeah.
Like you could feel, because you had touched everybody's doors or touched every person, you sort of had an understanding of where everybody was up to in their life a bit.
Yeah. Like when so you can say an address now in Monbrel, and I go, oh, that's so-and-so.
Every time.
That's so-and-so, la, la. Like, I know what the letterbox looks like. I know what this looks like. Because it's years and years of just walking around doing it. But, like, all this time later, like, I'm like an encyclopedia for that area in my head. I know exactly who's doing what. Some of the new people I don't, because there's some people that have died and some people that have moved. A bit different these days. But back then, I was almost unbeatable in that area.
Did anybody else door knock back then? Would you door knock if you had another business that wasn't a real estate business?
Yeah, for sure. Like why I used to, our friend used to own Bob Jane T-Mart, and I used to say to them, why don't you go and door knock around this area and say, hey, buy 3 tyres, you get your 4th one free. You might not need it now. Here's my card. Just come in when you need some tyres. I'm Joel. I say it all the time. But his dad, Brian, I said, why don't you do that? Like 10,000 homes around you, and make that your area. And have every single person want to use your business. Like, it just makes sense. But no one does. And I think no one does because it's hard. And you can fill your day up with anything. People retire and then they go, oh, it's so busy. I don't even know how time for work. It's just, they're just filling their day up. But once you prioritize and become like a fierce time prioritizer, you see things differently. Because that hour that you're going to invest, I look at it for myself. Like, even when I show a home now, like, somebody opens it and somebody closes it for me. Why is that?
Save time.
Yeah, and I don't let you do it now because you're in that space where you need to be smart with your time. But that 15 minutes to open it and 15 minutes to close it, that's half an hour that I don't want to be mucking around with keys, putting candles on.
Yeah, waiting for a buyer.
Yeah, but you need to get acutely aware of where you're going to invest your time, because for me, I need to do 3 I still today, if I don't prospect enough, it bothers the hell out of me. Like yesterday, I didn't do any, and it really bugs me because I'm like, that's going to cost me somewhere down the track. So, like, I don't see it like today. It's no different than training in the gym. You see no results, nothing.
Yeah.
But you go, like last night I was here at 7:30 last night. I don't like training at night at all. But I didn't train in the morning because we had something else on. I can't remember what it was, Jack, but we had something else on. And then Tara's half blowing up last night. I'm not home, I'm not this. But in my mind, I'm like, I've got to tick the box because, on the 18th of February next year, how I look will be directly related to the gym session I did last night. Do you know?
Yeah.
And you've got to be a bit tough with that stuff. That's if it's important to you. That's why prioritizing is the number one thing. So when you're laser beam focused in an area, and that's why I don't do too many things either. Because how many things can you fit in the day?
Yeah, not a lot. Probably 3 really important ones, and all the other stuff around it.
Yeah. So your pillars of life, and so if you go to, that's why I yell at you all the time going to lunches, because like I understand that you're like going to lunch and it feels good and all of that. And I know you're building relationships and stuff, but half the time people are energy zappers. How many messages do we get from people that want to catch up?
Hundreds and hundreds.
It took me years to say no. Like I just say I can't. I can't. I can, but at what cost?
Yeah.
You know, like that's how I see it now. At what cost? And there's been, I reckon I've had over the years 1,000 meetings with people that go, I just want to catch up and have a coffee and bounce things around. Great. From that, after it, I'm always like, that's 2 hours I'll never get back.
Yeah.
But why? They're catching up with you because they want to catch up with you and connect with you and talk to you and whatever else. But for me, I'm like, I feel drained after it. I've like lost momentum in the day. Even now when talks come, you know, I just say no. I got one in New Zealand the other day and I just said no. Like, whereas before I'd trot off to New Zealand. Now I see it as like 3 days around. I do talk and I like talks, but I'm super selective on where I go now. Time, turnaround, cost versus benefit.
It fully changes the momentum in the business.
It does. Yeah. But that's like how life is. So with you, like, you know, I do look at your stuff, right? And I watch your time management carefully. And like you're learning how to manage it. Because as you get busier, you're going to just like implode at some point because you're going to get so busy because you're listing stuff. Once you're listing 10, 12 a month. And then, so I'm watching you grow. But you have this really chaotic, varied approach to life. Like you got jiu-jitsu, golf, gym, what else do you do? Something else.
Boxing.
Like boxing. And you've got your niece and you've got Cookie and I'm just watching it. And at some point you're going to simplify. I'll guarantee it. Because you'll be like, I just can't give the right energy to all of it. And so in your day, I like waking up going, I've got 3 things to do today. Work, gym, and Tara. 3 things. Little kids sometimes get put into that when I need to take them for a bike ride, but let's just talk about the chunks. 3 things I've got to do today, and I'm going to get real good at those 3 things. But as soon as you put another one and another one, but then in that as well with work, what's my 3 things? Like I don't use a computer. Just yesterday, one of our owners said, "Oh, we can't talk." One of the people have had an operation, and it's a discussion around price and, you know, come on, get yourself together. Let's get this thing sold.
Yeah.
So it's a healthy discussion. And she wrote, "Can you email us and we'll respond in the next few days?" And I wrote back, no. No, I'm not going to sit there for an hour and a half writing an email about all of the stuff. I said, no, I'll talk when you're ready. And that's sort of what you need to do.
Yeah.
So could I sit there like this? And I've done it for years.
Yeah.
You know, I don't do proposals anymore. I just won't do proposals. Because we sit there labouring over proposals for what? For them to read it against 3 other people. I said, no, I'll meet with you and we'll talk about it. I don't do proposals anymore.
Yeah.
That's where I've got to now. Because I'm like, I really value where am I spending my time and what's the return from that? Because if you don't own your time, everyone else owns it.
Yeah, and as the day comes, like as soon as our phones start ringing, that's it.
Yeah.
You're like trying to find space to put all the stuff.
Yeah. We were having an argument yesterday about one of our owners that wants us to do it at this super low fee, and I just haven't ring them back. I'm not interested. I just won't do it. And you're like, oh, come on, it's market shared.
I said, I'll do it.
Yeah, you'll do it. But I'm like, I just don't want to work.
You do things on your terms now.
Yeah. You're not in an arrogant way. I'm like, there's so many times I've made decisions the other way, and it just never works out right because it's not set up right from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's like it's like the weirdest thing. So anyway, that lockdown mode is the most important thing to launch your business, yourself, your profile. You can do it in anywhere. It's like we do real estate, so we can only talk on real estate. But I think people forget you got to get this traction, this momentum. Your career will be different because you've hitched your wagon to myself and Trev. So you've got like a slightly different momentum from day one.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you, do you need to do lockdown mode?
Yeah.
When are you going to do it?
I've been doing it for the last 5 years.
But what's that version to you?
See, I look at your lockdown mode and think
like, it's extreme.
It's like out of control extreme. See, like I've got to feel like I love work. That's why I spend so much time doing it. I like building things, but I also need to feel fit, and I enjoy combat sports and I enjoy golf. Like that actually fills my tank up, and then I just manage family the best I can. But your lockdown is very different to, I think, most people's. Like that's craziness. It's fantastic, but I think most people would last 6 months and then give up.
Well, most of my competitors, along the way, they try to compete in the core area.
Yeah.
And they just don't, because and people don't keep it up. Like they just kept it up for 20 years.
So yeah, see, I still am waking up in a good mood. I still feel energized. I'm happy, like because all of the little areas seem to be moving in the right direction. But if I just went up and went, yep, no, I'm not speaking to my family. I'm not doing anything for myself. I'm just going to work. I'd probably become pretty sad. So it's like balancing that.
Well, here's the next part.
Yeah.
So let's add another thing, right? And this is how people need to see it. So you got the day. I just look at days. I don't look at who knows where you're going to be in 18 months' time. But I know if the days add up, you're going to end up somewhere pretty cool. So let's put in drinking. So let's put in drinking in there. You just said you wake up happy, la la la, la la.
Yep.
Yeah. So what happens in there? This is what people do.
You're drinking. You're not waking up
They go,
happy.
I want to achieve this, but let's put in drinking.
Yeah.
So what happens there?
You're on the back foot from the moment you wake up.
Frequency's different.
We had the awards night on Thursday.
Yeah.
We had a great night. It's the best fun.
Yeah.
I've been saying for like 2 days, all right, I'm done now. It took me until Monday to like get back in my strides again.
Yeah.
So I don't drink as much anymore, really. You can tell. When you stop drinking and then you do, you can tell what your performance levels are.
Yeah. And you're young, like I get it. You know, you got to drink. Jackson's going to drink every now and then. That's fine.
I think when you're young, it's like when you're working, you got to work. When you're playing, you got to play. You can't mix the two.
Yeah.
Like if you're taking 2 weeks over Christmas, play a bit and then get back into it. It's when you're mixing the two that makes it really tricky. Like I'm going to go out till 3 a.m. on Friday and then going to try and sell some auctions tomorrow. Too hard.
I really think it comes down to what you want. Like it really does. Like, are you serious about what you want? Because I think people can set a goal so easy, like set a goal. But then what are you going to do to get there? And I reckon if you just start eliminating distractions, like friends, like Jackson's made adjustments there, the people you hang out with, you've got such limited time, like such limited time. People think like you're young, 27, but you're going to be 37 in no time. And then how you spent those next 5 years, 10 years, like will determine the next part of your life as well. It's hard to turn it back. It's hard to like go, I really should have made different decisions. Like people, even with wealth, like if you want wealth, you just got to get good at what you do.
Yeah.
Just get good at what you do, and then more money will come to you as income. So you just got to value add what you do. Doesn't matter what you do. Just get great at it.
I say this to people all the time. It's much easier to earn 10 grand than save 10 grand.
Yeah, totally.
Heaps easier.
Yeah. So you got to value add what you do, increase your worth, and you could be a waitress, be the best waitress ever. You get great tips, whatever.
Get a pay rise.
Doesn't matter what you do.
Get a pay rise. Somebody will poach you.
Yeah, you just got to be interested in what you do. So, and if you're not interested in what you do, you got to start think about, what am I really interested in? What do I want to do? Like these podcasts, how much do we get paid?
0 at the moment.
Nothing. 0. But you know what it does? It connects with people along the way. When I talk, I get paid a lot more now to talk. Like it's just slowly building that people like go, oh, I wouldn't mind him coming to talk at our thing. So for me, don't get paid anything from it, but later it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy it.
Exactly.
Like I enjoy sharing a bit of knowledge and sharing a bit of connection and stuff like that. So you just got to get great at what you do. And because sometimes people go, oh, I need to get paid more.
All the
I
time.
need a pay rise. You know, you never need to ask for a pay rise if you're just phenomenal. I don't think I've ever sat in front of anyone and asked for a pay rise. I'm not saying don't. It's up to people if they do. But it just comes.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, hang on. I'll just lock myself down and I'll just get so good that I just stand out.
I'll get so valuable that they have to pay me more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they don't sell their house with me, they're missing out.
Mm.
Because no one will work. No one will answer a call at 11:15 at night. I will. You know, that I'm just different. And I need people to see that. Then I'll list more houses, I'll get paid more, whatever. But then it doesn't matter whatever else you do, you have to have the same thing. And then once you earn a bit more, then you got to look at what you're going to do with that. Like wealth is a funny thing. Like I've never really been into investing and things. Like I don't even want much. I just want like a really great house that I like, which we're creating at the moment. But I don't want 50 properties everywhere. It doesn't interest me one bit. Just enough to be like, yeah, I can buy Jackson some shoes. I don't have to think about it. What else do you need? Like seriously. So, but to do that, if you just have a bit more income coming in and then just get a little bit smart around, well, you know, Jackson goes out, like I watch him buy all these cocktails and go to hotels and I'm like, oh, that's so dumb. Why do you do that, Jackson? I say that to him all the time. Why are you doing that? Because at that stage of life, you're just wasting your money so much. Get a nice little like cushion going on and then maybe buy something that's going to help you a little bit. Like Jamie used to say, when you have a property over here, it's like forced savings. So instead of putting in the bank, go put in that property over there. Just have one property over there that's like going to help you later in life. And then you're almost set up. Almost. Get great, earn heaps of money, have a little bit of extra over here, and then like just in case. And then I say to Jackson, have enough money so you can live for 6 months. If I sack you. Yeah. But so you can live for 6 months and then have something else that's generating you a little bit of income, then you're set up. What else do you need? I'll never have a car loan again, ever in life. I think car loans are craziness. But that's up to people, especially like if you're young, just own your car.
Yeah.
Own a $5,000 car. Don't buy a $50,000 car where it's going down in value. I'm not giving people financial advice, but it doesn't make sense to me. You know, when you go buy a car for 50 grand, you got all this interest to pay over 5 years and a balloon payment,
it becomes
and
70.
the car's worth nothing. It doesn't make sense. You're paying like double for the car. Just go buy a car for $10,000 and own it. Drive it around. You still get to the same place. Anyway, all these little things. But that's just, people say, I want to create wealth. Oh, it's all too hard. So what I'm going to do is just spend my money, spend more than I've got, and be in this really stressful place of life, chasing my tail, like trying to make each week work. Like, what is wealth? Wealth is just a bit of peace of mind around money that you don't have to stress about it too much. So what does that mean? Get really good at your job, whatever you do, great at it. So your pay goes up a bit just naturally because they want you. Have 6 months of living in a bank account so you can just, if something happened, you're not stressed about it. And then have a little bit of an investment something. Try and buy something that's going to, whether it's shares or something, just have an interest in something that's going to generate you income over time.
All you could do is buy one house.
That's it.
That's it.
Nothing.
Buy one house.
And stop wasting money. So Jackson, how much did you spend when you went down to the hotel?
Like $150?
No, when you went and stayed in the hotel and then cocktails and dinners.
In Sydney.
Yeah.
I didn't pay for it.
Well, okay. Well, if you paid for it. Well, when you went to the Star and I paid for the hotel, how much did that weekend cost?
Including what you paid for that?
Yeah.
Like $3,000.
$3,000. Lot of money. Lot of money. That's like a month's that's a month's work. Have a picnic down at the Haven with kebabs. A lot cheaper. Still hanging out at the same time. Anyway, making good decisions.
You know, my first property was $150,000.
Was it?
150. You know how much my deposit was? $15,000.
Yeah.
No stamp duty.
See, Jackson, that was like half of Jackson's night.
You know what it's worth now? It's worth $450 now.
Yeah.
So I've $300,000 of equity I can pull straight from it.
Yeah.
Buy another property.
Yeah.
You just have to buy one.
Just one.
Just
get
one.
focused.
Just one and wait.
And lock down a little bit.
Yeah.
That's why, like, with Jack, I'm so determined to set him up in life. Like, I want him to be really comfortable, but help him. Not me do it for him. Just help him. A little bit of sacrifice for a long-term benefit. Such a great feeling. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have much else to talk about today?
No.
No? Want to finish it?
No. You finish it.
What advice have you got of people? You're in your career now.
Yeah.
So what bit of advice do you have for people that want to achieve something great? And you're on, the start of your journey, and
You can't escape doing the work. It's just
what does that mean?
It's a work, like, nothing good comes without doing the work.
Yeah.
That's just how I think it is. And I think if you're really serious about your goals, it's very, very hard. I was only saying to Mum in the car on the way here, I was like, because I was stayed up till like 1 o'clock last night doing that market report and this, that, and the other. I was saying it to this morning. She goes, "Oh, why don't you just sell 50 houses a year and go on holidays and enjoy your life?" I said, "I have no interest in doing that."
And
But
that's
she
someone's
does.
version of, that's right.
But she does.
And that's someone's version of success for sure.
So your work's got to match your goals too.
Yeah,
For
it
me,
does.
I want to be the best with you, with the team, and my work has to match that. But whether it's fitness, wealth, that whole change in my life to try and get my wealth back was very hard. That was like a big punch in my ego too. Go from like the cool dude to like the guy driving around the rusty ute. But I wouldn't have got to where I am now. Sometimes you got to take.
It's literally set you up.
You got to take some steps back to move forward.
Yeah, that little bit of a lockdown you went into, to your credit, it set you up financially forever. Like, it was very impressive to watch because you were driving around a pretty average, like that little $3,000 car after that. That was very average and looked terrible.
Yeah, I just become the yes man at work. Whatever you needed, it was done.
Yeah.
Whatever time, mate, go to Perth and do this. I would have just got in the car and drove there. There's lots of sacrifices that you have to make in that 5 years to build momentum too. I think people don't actually realise how hard it is, but like, you're right. After five hard years of lockdown, you're normally at a point by then that the momentum sort of carries you into the next 5 and then you're off.
It's true. Let's leave it on let's leave it on this little bit of advice. It's things that give you short-term pleasure usually lead to long-term pain. Things that give you pleasure, like delayed pleasure, the things that are boring and difficult and, you don't see any result from them from the moment, they're the things that usually lead to long-term pleasure. Just think about that.